Welcome to the Building Thriving Lifestyles podcast. I'm your host, Eiki Dottir, and I just got off this call with Alisha Shahh, and I am kind of mind blown. I really do think that you're going to enjoy this one. We're going to dive into topics related to health and fitness and changing your habits and all the rest of it. And I honestly think that no one says it better than Alisha. So I'm just going to sit back and let you enjoy this one. Into it. Hello, Alisha, and thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for this chat to have it on record, as we've had it a couple of times off record.
Several times, yes.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. How would you explain your life to a complete stranger?
So, my name's Alisha. I am 36 years old. I am, first and foremost, daughter, wife, and mother to a very cute 3-year-old. And I've serial entrepreneur, business owner since I was very young. And I think that kind of summarizes a lot of the facts about me.
But how would you describe yourself? That's the facts. What's your description?
So I would describe myself as complex. A little hard to get to know, but hopefully lovable once you know me. You can agree or disagree.
I definitely agree with that one. It was scary in the beginning, but then you warm up, definitely.
Scary to you? Okay, I don't know about that.
A little bit, sometimes, occasionally.
Fair enough.
Not so much lately. So what do you like to do when you're not working, momming, or sleeping?
I like to work out, which is how we met. I thoroughly enjoy being in nature, so try and make time to go for hikes or treks. I love diving. I do, I guess my favorite thing to try is to find places that are super random in the world, middle of nowhere with not many people around, and I'm going to visit those and understand the culture of the place and kind of get to know it more. Yeah, traveling, love traveling, but kind of more in random places rather than cities, so to speak.
Yeah, so the off-the-grid ones, the non-popular places. Yeah. Is that one of the things that kind of matters most to you, or what else would you describe that you need in order to kind of thrive and have a good one?
So, that definitely matters. And I think that keeps me fueled to kind of have it time to time. Of course, that's not in everyday life, right? So you got to find things that are in your everyday life to thrive, and not just, the way I kind of describe it is not allow life to happen to you, but to kind of be in control of your life. And I think kind of the formula that I found, which is really, really hard to do, is to try and be very authentic to your feelings, to your thoughts, to be able to thrive, even if that means that there can be very uncomfortable conversations, there can be very uncomfortable scenarios around you. It's not always also that simple as, having the difficult conversation, because sometimes you don't know what those authentic feelings and emotions or thoughts are about a certain thing, but kind of digging deep enough to figure that out, understanding that they may change over time in different periods of your life, kind of staying true to that. I feel like if you're true to yourself, then you can thrive overall.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you kind of start feeling like life is happening to you rather than you're in control and life is happening
itself.
for you.
Got you. I've never heard it described like that. It's really, I'm taking a moment. I'm like, aha. That's such a cool way to describe it.
It's not something that you can always do. It's definitely not something you can always do. But I think that it's important to kind of keep asking yourself, why am I doing something? And if you can't always come up with an answer, then you kind of need to dig deeper and figure that out for yourself.
Yes, are you aware of some main values that you use to guide you, or is there like a set of rules that you kind of use?
I don't think there are rules, except the fact that everything's constantly changing. So I feel like it's difficult to kind of have a set of rules and kind of expect to kind of fit into those sort of rules, so to speak. But in terms of values, I think, genuinely just being honest with yourself, living that authenticity through your relationships, through your thought process, through with what you're doing. There are several things that I use as coping techniques. Like number one is genuinely setting boundaries. And understanding that those boundaries are not hard boundaries, they could change. They'll change at different times of your life for what's needed from you. But setting those boundaries, whether it's in relationships or in work, or as I've recently learned, working out as well, setting those so that you know that you're not doing stuff that's not good for you.
Yes.
And having those kind of open and honest conversations with yourself, with the people around you that you love and that love you, is really helpful. Also, kind of from time to time, just genuinely sitting down and writing down what's important to you at this point in time. Because sometimes when we're just kind of going through life, at least for me, I feel like what was important to you maybe a year ago may not be anymore, but we're still kind of focusing on that somehow because that's kind of what you have just been doing for the last year. So just kind of sitting down, writing down like overarching goals where you kind of need to focus your attention maybe for that year, and then kind of doing that like more periodically to like a week or a day, like kind of what do I need to do today can be really helpful sometimes.
Yeah. So you take like the bigger thing and then you kind of break it down into things that you're doing. Yeah. And make sure you're not keeping like the old habits in there that are not like they're healthy.
Yeah.
Got you. How do you think your kind of values and way of doing things differ from other people? Do you think everyone does that, or do you think you're unique with that?
No, I think that there are people around that kind of follow through that are similar, you know, have similar thought processes as this. I think one of the major things that, you know, have changed in my life is not doing that much, but trying to do less sometimes is actually more. I think that that's something that's very construed in our society today. So all of us have this, especially with Instagram, and, you know, say, you got to do this and you got to, you know, be super mom and have all these activities out. You got to be running like 17 businesses or a job and a side hustle and another one, or you got to like, and sometimes you just kind of be like, okay, but why? Like, I need to stop. I need to pause. Working out, which is like a big conversation you and I have had, like more is not always better. Like more can actually gets you on more unhealthy, maybe. Like it definitely was in my case. So I think that whole sort of situation where we talk about how more is always better is not the case. I definitely, that's something that I've had a change in mindset of more recently, where it's not just, I've taken that, something that I learned in my workouts with you, that, you know, I need to kind of cut back and allow my body to heal and rest, but actually you need to do that in all sorts of parts of your life. You need to cut back from work and set that boundary of, I'm not going to answer emails after 7 p.m. unless someone's actually, you know, dying or something. Like, I'm not going to do certain things.
I mean, I hope they're not sending an email if they are.
Well, exactly. So it's hard to do at the beginning, kind of setting things for yourself. But I think it goes back to the thriving and being sort of authentic to yourself. Like doing all this and doing more, is it really making you happy or isn't? Or is it really allowing you to be the best version of yourself or isn't? Is it really making you healthier or not? And I think in most cases, you'll have an answer is more likely than not really not helping you. It's not taking you that further step. In fact, it's potentially harming your health or your sanity, or even partying, like in the sense of what we see on social media. Like too much of anything is a bad thing. So that kind of comes, I feel like balance is not cool and sexy to show on Instagram, but I think balance is really, really important.
Yeah, 100%. And is that like in anything, I guess there is like a point of diminishing returns. Like you can do an X amount of something, and then once you go over and beyond that, it's not necessarily going to be continuously more better.
No, it's really not. So that's for anything in life, literally.
Yeah, but you segue really nicely into it. So you mentioned a little bit what you changed your mind on, but are you currently facing any challenges, or have you made any changes in the way that you view things recently?
Yes. So, I mean, honestly, on the viewing bit, so I have gone through various changes in my life recently. I became a mom 3 years ago, which was obviously a huge change. With that, a lot of my health changed post-pregnancy, post-breastfeeding. I connected it back actually to initially I connected it back to being pregnant, but the more I've investigated in the last 2 years, the more I've realized is actually all the symptoms I had, and the symptoms were, continuous exhaustion, really bad brain fog, sleeping the whole night, but literally waking up in the morning feeling like a truck has hit me. Feeling great in my workouts, and I was very much into CrossFit doing, lots of HIIT workouts, heavy lifting, high cardio, running, swimming, all of it. Feeling great during, but literally feeling later like I could sleep for a month. Having like mood swings. There were just so many symptoms, and I did go to various doctors to try and understand what was going on with me. My period was all over the place. Didn't get it sometimes, got it so heavy the other times. And the only solution that I kept getting from traditional medication is take the pill, get back on the pill. No, it's just in your head. Of course you're tired. You have however you're a young child, it's normal. And I'm like, no, this is not normal. Like, no, something's got to give. And I think that's what took me down my journey of exploring the various parts of my health and my life, and understanding what needed to change to actually get to a healthier version of myself. So this also ties back to kind of reassessing your core beliefs, right? My core belief used to be that working out really hard, eating relatively healthy, working crazy hours led to a successful and happy life. And now when I reassess those, it's completely changed because my health was telling me otherwise. I have been diagnosed with leaky gut syndrome. I've been diagnosed now with a host of various hormonal issues, including low estrogen and low testosterone and so forth and so on. Not getting those boring details, but something had to give, literally, for me to start regaining my health. And without getting into the medical bits of it, because that's irrelevant. But what really had to change was my mindset towards eating, my mindset towards working out, my mindset towards actually setting those boundaries for work and not having to have something on my plate all the time. Being able to ask for help. Big thing for me that has been a change, because I'm, growing up, I was somebody who didn't know how to ask for help. I kind of had the I'll do it all attitude. Hey, I can't do it all anymore. That's definitely not something that I guess I've learned with age, that, you can't do it. You need to ask for help. Those are the sort of like some of the big changes I've made in my life. And they sound kind of overarching and kind of huge, but if you kind of break them down a little further in terms of what it means as actionables, what it meant for me as actionables was setting that boundary with my workout, still getting my weight training in, but allowing my body to recover and rest, and allowing myself to go for walks instead of runs, still getting in the sort of, number of steps in a day, but just allowing myself to do it in a slower, quieter environment. Taking the time to do deep breathing, the time to have cold showers, and just kind of allowing my body to kind of calm down, setting those very hard boundaries, which is really hard for me because I work with my family, including my husband and my parents. So when we're sitting on the dinner table, being like, they'll be like, oh, Alisha, you got to email me. I'll see it tomorrow. And they're like, no, but I'm like, no, it's 7 p.m. We're done. I'm done. Email me. We'll forget. I'm like, exactly. Which is why I'm telling you, email, pick up your phone, whatever you were going to say to me, type it out, press send. See it tomorrow.
Oh, and that's like the ultimate boundaries with work, when they're sitting with you at the dinner table. You can't even just ignore them.
Hard. But I mean, it's everyone's been super supportive. So of course, having those people around you that are supportive of your journey. Small tricks like, making sure you eat your vegetables and proteins before you eat the carb. No one's ever saying never eat a carb again, but kind of make you getting the nutritious stuff in. Stepping into your kitchen, like the sugar-free options, so the gluten-free options, which taste as good, but we're just so used to picking up certain items from a supermarket and bringing home. These are all sort of the smaller actionable things that have helped change my mindset around working out, around setting boundaries, around eating to fuel my body, not only just eating for taste. I think I've covered most of that. Yes.
Yeah, you definitely have. But what has that kind of meant for you health-wise now that you've made those changes? How are you feeling now with your workouts and overall energy?
Been like a 180-degree change for me. It's funny when I started eating more, when I started working out less, when I started asking for help and doing less, my brain fog is gone. My exhaustion is gone. I am taking the help of, some supplements and things like that, which are all sort of natural, which is helping me along my journey. But overall, my health, my mindset is in such a different place than it was 6 months ago. It's not even funny how much my periods are consistently on time. Never happened to me my whole life, pretty much.
Yeah.
It just shows you how much can change with basic lifestyle changes. Like we're also a rush to, and it is required sometimes, and I'm not taking away the traditional medication, and it could be required in certain times in your life.
Absolutely.
How much what we do with ourselves can change you and your health is completely underrated.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe like lifestyle choices, and there are a lot more people talking about it, but I don't think you quite understand it till you experience it.
Yeah.
Till you're actually in it and you're like, oh, wait, what? I actually feel better. I'm not on any medication. Like I'm not. And the fact that our gut and what we eat, that's our gut and our brain is so connected. How we feel can change with how we eat. Like it is 100% connected. No one's saying never eat a pizza again or never have that ice cream again.
No.
But understand what you're putting into your body and what it's going to do to you. Not just the inches on your waist, which has, by the way, been a very, very happy sort of side effect of my new lifestyle. The stubborn weight has just finally come off, which every workout and HIIT workout in the world couldn't have done for me or did not do for me factually in the past. It changes your life for the better. And I think that's something that you genuinely need to experience. I can imagine people hearing this because I was that person. And like, yeah, whatever. Like, vegetables are really going to change my life. Like, I don't think so. But no, but they actually really, really do. Of course, not just vegetables coupled with a variety of different lifestyle changes, but it really can change your life. And it definitely has for me.
It's the compounding effect of those 1% changes, as opposed to trying to make 100% changes. But so, like, first of all, I'm really, really proud of all the kind of mindset changes. And in some ways, I would never have believed that someone could actually change their mindset so dramatically around so many different things. What kind of strategies do you use when you are changing your mind? Like, how do you realize, oh, here is an area that I have to do something about?
When I'm making these sort of changes or decisions, the way I try to think about it is not in terms of morality, because I feel like that's a very gray area and it could mean very differently to you in different times in your life, and to different people. That's really difficult to be like, oh, this is the pros and these are the cons, so as to speak. But I like to think about it in terms of consequences. Like if I am attempting to make any sort of decision or, change these sort of habits, what are the consequences if I do? And what are the consequences if I don't? And what am I genuinely okay living with? At that point in my life, when I've made these sweeping changes, the consequences of not doing any of them was just to continue feeling the way I was feeling. And it was just not an acceptable consequence to me anymore. The consequence of making these sort of lifestyle changes was that I would be in social situations that were insanely uncomfortable. I would be at parties where I'm sipping on sparkling water, telling people, oh, cheers, this is tequila, or eating my dinner before going out, or actually taking a step back from the weights and the HIIT that I was so proud of, that kind of defined part of who I was, or even the work bit, like the consequences. I've always identified as someone who works all the time and very proud of my sort of done at work, but kind of taking a step back has its consequence, but not taking a step back has a consequence too. Which one are you willing to live with? And I think that's
weighing scale.
Exactly. Just kind of weighing it out and kind of having that authentic, very honest conversation with yourself of, what does that mean for me and what am I willing to live with? And what is just not acceptable to me anymore? And I'd 100% reached the stage where living the way I was with was genuinely half a brain, zero motivation, just exhausted all the time, cranky, because I was exhausted with the work, with my kid, with my husband. Like, it was just not a way that I was willing to live anymore. Something had to change.
Yeah. And it was maybe not either the best scenario to try to add more of things into. So it's easier to deduct. But tell me a little bit, you did touch on this, but work-wise, when you tone things down and put a little bit more boundaries around it, do you feel like you're achieving less, or what does that look for you work-wise?
So I think it's difficult. I'm definitely not working as many hours. I give myself sort of those boundaries. Am I achieving less? I don't think it's actually affected my output. But the strategy that I use, especially now with work, and this has been a huge change for me as well. Earlier, to explain to you, for me, it was like constant, right? Like stuff I had to do, like the to-do list when it came to work or every other aspect of my life. It was like my brain never kind of quietened down, and that had to change. That was increasing my stress levels unknowingly. It's not a stressful event, but it is what happens in your body, and was leading to inflammation, which was leading to all these other sort of health issues that I had. So I kind of learned this new sort of strategy that's worked really well for me. I kind of, the night before, jot down, I have a running to-do list. So that's number one. Like that's always there. And I always, if I'm thinking of something, I write it down. I always have a diary and pen on me. So I don't have to keep my head anymore. My head can start clearing of these thoughts, and it's just written down, and I can refer back to it. So I'm not afraid of forgetting it. So I don't have to do it right now. Do it later. Then the night before or in the morning off, I prefer the night before because it's when I get some quiet time. I write down everything that's most important for me to do the next day on that long, forever running to-do list, which is however many pages long. And then I can put time in my calendar. Like, I'm going to, from this time to this time, not just work, but in that 2 hours, this is what I plan on achieving. And in the next 1 hour, this is what I plan on achieving, and kind of jotting down my day. This has really helped me, clear my mind of all the clutter that's constantly there. B, genuinely prioritize what I have to do each day, each week. Like, it needs to get done. And allowing me to have that extra flexibility of not feeling like I'm, compromising on the quality of work or the amount of work, but kind of having that flexibility. If this is a hard stop, I'm not going to work beyond that. And there's always exceptions, right? I mean, there will be that 7 p.m. is really not 7 p.m. The 7 p.m. is 11 p.m. And that's life. And it's going to happen.
Exception, not the rule.
Exactly. That's the exception, not the rule. But another huge part is something I touched on earlier, which is asking for help and delegating. Like, it's something that I've found hard to do in the past, but it's something that is really key to you. Focusing on what's the most important bits and kind of doing those better, but then also growing the team around you to kind of be like, you've got to help out with this, and put them through it. Maybe kind of talk to them about, okay, this is how I would do it, but let me hear your ideas, and just allow me. And people surprise you all the time that they come up with ideas better than you ever could have potentially, or that you would have in that current mindset where you had all those things to do. So the kind of tools I've used to make sure that work doesn't suffer in any way. In some ways, I would say that productivity is increased because I feel like I'm able to genuinely laser focus on what the most important bits and pieces are. So
you need to do.
Exactly. That potentially not the people around you can do. And at the same time, I'm not functioning from a space of brain clutter constantly. I'm attempting to clear that clutter, which is obviously giving me a lot more clarity. So I think, no, productivity hasn't decreased at all. In a lot of ways, I feel like it has increased.
One day, I love that way of like delegating to other people what they like their strengths are and doing what your strengths are. It's like the optimal teamwork that you've got going.
And it'll not always be ideal, right? Because there may be things that people do differently, but kind of letting that all go. I definitely can be accused of being a bit of a control freak. So allowing control to go and just being like, okay, if it's not done my way, it's done, right? The outcome's the same and it's fine. It looks good. So kind of letting that go a little bit is important as well. And it helps all sorts of aspects of your health as well, because it doesn't lead to additional stress.
Yeah.
So it all kind of marries in some way.
Yeah. The ultimate growth, like personal, physical, and mental growth at the same time.
And it's funny because it is all connected, right? You can't do one without the other. Like people keep focusing on health, but actually you can't be healthier unless you kind of fix some stuff that's going on in your head. And sometimes you can't fix what's going on in your head because of what's going on in your gut. And it kind of all, I mean, I think the fact that it's all connected, that statement is very overused, but at the same time, it's very little understood. Yeah. Because it's all connected, and you can't segregate and put these into little boxes. You kind of have to make, that's what they call lifestyle changes, not, just changes or so as to boxed out. You have to see how it all marries. And like, if I did all the changes I did in nutrition and fitness, etc., but I didn't do it in work by setting these boundaries and allowing myself to have these small practices that are helping manage stress better, it wouldn't have worked as well as it has, So yeah, it is all connected for sure.
It's also an annoying sentence because we hear it all the time, and I feel like only people who have kind of achieved it and are on the other side of some kind of a change, they're like, yes, it's all connected.
Yes, it is all connected. And that's the other one dangerous pitfall, I would say, is that we've achieved it. It's a constant work in progress. It's one of those work in progresses that will never end.
Not really, no.
You know this better than most. But it's something that you have to kind of constantly work at, because it is a balancing act. It is kind of like, knowing when you have to give more and, take more and set those boundaries a little more, or kind of take them away a little more. So it is constantly changing, and it is something that you do have to keep working on. It's not like, have arrived, like, this is it. Like, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
No, you never really arrive to that destination.
No.
What do you classify as success, though, on both your health and professional journey? What does success mean for you?
So, success means kind of different things in different aspects of my life, I think. For me, professionally, setting goals and achieving them is the simple definition of success. But I think it's actually a lot more than that. It's about the kind of time and effort you put in. And I think success is actually very often is not seen, but should be seen as failing multiple times, but not giving up.
Yeah.
Like, there are businesses that we've been very successful in that I'm very proud of, but there are businesses that we didn't give up on and eventually did become successful, and we couldn't have given up multiple, times on the route. So I don't think there's one easy definition of success. I think it is, I definitely don't like the traditional definition of success, of goal orientation and actually achieving it. I think for me, a lot of it is in the tie-in of not giving up, putting in the work, doing what you need to do, and sometimes actually accepting failure, and that could be a successful outcome, walking away when you need to walk away. So for me, that's actually the more important part of success than the actual outcome.
Yeah. Is that the same for your kind of health journey, like fighting for it, or is it arriving to a certain destination, or what does success mean there?
Yeah, so I think in health as well, it's similar, right? Because for me, the outcome, of course, I mean, there are happy outcomes of the fact that I feel better. But if I feel like this is it and I've arrived and I'm going to let things slip, it's kind of a journey. If I were to define it simply, I think consistency in whatever it is that you're trying to do over long periods of time is what I would define success as. Like for me, to consistently being able to implement these lifestyle changes for a much longer period of time, make them second nature to me. It's a silly example, but I was not somebody who really liked vegetables. Like I ate my vegetables, but I ate like one or two. I've now learned that actually to improve my gut and to improve the biodiversity that's in my gut, I actually need to be eating, as they call it very annoyingly again, the rainbow of vegetables. But it actually means eating like 3 or 4 different kinds of vegetables every meal, every day. And kind of getting that diversity into your system to allow your sort of gut to flourish. Again, managed to do that successfully now, longer period of time, where even if I go to a restaurant, I'm ordering like the asparagus and the broccoli and the whatever else that's on their side menu, eating that my meal. For me, that's that for me is success, because I've managed to take something, being able to do it over a long time, and kind of get it as a lifestyle choice that I'm making. No one's sitting there, with the ruler telling me that's what I need to do, but these are my choices now.
Yeah.
So for me, especially in health, it's really about a consistency over a longer period of time, and making that second nature to you, those habits. So they're not something that you're thinking about. It's just something that you do. It's as normal as eating or drinking water, So
Which
for me,
is
that
still a habit for some, that they've not been successful at the end. Something that's a work in progress.
They say you have to do something consistently for 90 days for it to become second nature to you.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you kind of say that you really think that success is in the process, in the actual doing of things again and again and again and again, whatever result that brings you to.
I think if you link in success with the one end goal, it could be very frustrating, because it could be a journey. The happiness of the excitement is very short-lived, because the moment's come, the moment's gone.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very motivating when you're on this sort of, and most journeys in life, let's be realistic, are long ones. They're not, something that's short. It's something that you got to work on for a lot. Building a business, having a relationship that's meaningful with your partner, raising a kid, creating healthy lifestyle choices. It's not something that you can, 1 week done, let's, unless you have the mindset that I'm going to lose 2 kgs in 2 days, which is unhealthy in itself. But any of them, if you kind of reward the consistency and the kind of the daily challenges that are going to help you get to the goal, and if you see that as success, I think it's a lot more meaningful in your journey than if you think last moment, the aha moment.
The moment you step on the scale.
Exactly. Okay, those need to be happy outcomes, in my opinion, whether it's in business or in life or in health. Those are very happy outcomes, but they're not. It's not the successful bit. All the other bits you did are the successful bit. You put in the hard work. That's success.
Ticking them off one by one.
Slowly and surely, day after day.
Got you. Now, what do you consider being the best part of your day, and why is that the best part of your day?
It's a tough one. I want to say the end of it so I can sleep. But
yes, love's a bad time.
No, but I think, honestly, so my husband and I work together, parent together, live together. So we're together a lot. But I think it's the moments we grab in all the time that we're together that are the best parts of my day. The little joke that no one else is going to get. It's just him or me. Or a little look at each other because we've understood what's going on, but no one else around us kind of knows. So it's kind of those moments that I think are the best part of my day. That, especially because we're together a lot, but a lot of it is work. Or okay, what does that need? Our son, or we have a lot of responsibilities in our life. So I think it's those moments that kind of make the rest of it better. Kind of makes it worth it, almost.
Like the quirky moment and the special connection with your people.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's kind of what keeps most of us going, I would assume. It's like those moments with the people that you love that make the mundane daily stuff and the responsibilities that we have to do kind of don't feel as heavy on your shoulders anymore, because you have someone to kind of share it with in those moments of just laughter.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I really sounds really good to have these quirky moments and the insider jokes. They're always good.
Yes, they are.
Is there someone that you look up to that is a role model for you?
The simple answer to that is no. I don't think I have a role model, somebody that I kind of really look up to. For me, it really is about finding what I can learn from every person that I meet. And I think that, the vast majority, the very, very vast majority of people that you meet, you will be able to learn something from them. And I do believe that you meet people because a lot of the time they're mirroring something in you that you need to figure out. So it could be like a bad habit of theirs that you're like, oh, wait, actually, I have that bad habit too. It could be some really amazing qualities about them that, you want to be like, you want to imbibe, you want to try and take one thing from that person to kind of, replicate in your life or kind of build that as a practice in your life. So I think I'm not somebody who really idolizes like people, like any one specific person. It's just not, it was always actually a very difficult question to answer as a kid because everyone was like, who would you want to be like you grow up? And I'm like, I just want to be me. Like, that's who I like. Like, why have to be like someone else? And I think I still very much of that, just me. But I think there is something you can learn from every single person you meet. And I think you just kind of have to look for that. So that's something that I try and constantly do.
Yeah. What are some of the traits that you're kind of looking at and looking for at the moment then? Something that you come across?
I don't think there's anything like that I'm looking for. I think you kind of figure it out when you see somebody like that. I mean, there's a really good friend of mine who is a mom of 3. And like, I think she's an amazing mom, but the lightness with which she's able to raise her kids without any mom guilt, like, that's definitely something that I've seen in her and wanted to learn from her. Or, you like the ability to understand that, it's time to kind of make a change in my life and kind of start new chapters and, make those important decisions when it was, right for you, like to be able to actually make those difficult decisions. It's a great quality, something that, I wish I could do more of. So, I mean, I think you kind of keep coming across people that are doing things in their life and you're like, I kind of think I should do that a little more. And I think it's great to keep, it also just kind of keeps the learning journey continued for you because that's really important. You are constantly learning, you are constantly growing. I also think if you limit yourself to one idol, personally, for me, it's kind of like that. But actually, there's so much to learn from every person you meet. About their passion, their empathy. It could be about their intelligence. It could be how they organize stuff. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. It could be how they do something that you definitely know you shouldn't be doing, but actually you realize, oh wait, I have been doing.
You're a little bit attracted to it, or like it speaks to you in some kind of a way.
Exactly. So yeah, I think there are examples around you all the time. We just have to kind of open your eyes and really look.
Yep. No, that's a really good one. I like this. And I also, when I was a kid, when they were like, oh, well, who are you going to be when you grow up? I was like, me? Who else?
Yeah.
Why do I need to be someone else?
That's why it's school.
No,
like,
it's
why
weird.
would you tell the child that it needs to be so? Like, I never liked that question.
No, it's a weird one. What would you like to be remembered for, though, if you got to pick?
I think I'd like to be remembered for what kind of motivates me the most, which is giving back. So in whatever ways I can and my husband can, we give back to charities and sort of NGOs and things. That is the thing that kind of fuels me to continue working as well. And it is the thing that I hoped to be remembered for someday, is somebody who cared enough to do something more than just for themselves, to give back to the world that we live in. And hopefully you'll be remembered by the people that loved you. I think that's the biggest remembrance, that you loved. Like, hopefully my son remembers me as a kind and fair mother, and the people that were there around me remember me for sort of my qualities of the kind of relationship that we shared over the years. I think those are the most important bits to kind of live on in their memory.
Yeah. Your little boss son is definitely...
He is a boss child for sure.
He is a boss child.
He's a joy and a challenge on a daily basis.
Making executive decisions.
Oh my God! Language abuses all of us. When he told you, "I've made an executive decision to take a nap today because I wanted to enjoy Mama's party." Yeah, it's not something you very often hear at 3-year-old.
No, but
it kind of shows you the kind of language that he's around, obviously, because they're working a lot. So kids do as they hear. But
absolutely,
he's hilarious. He's a complete joy. I think he is actually, for me, my greatest success. Like, not him per se, because it's a completely different personality. Trust me, he'll tell me that every single day.
Yep.
I was never somebody who actually thought I would want children. I wasn't really someone who was good with children around me. Like, I mean, I couldn't even hold my close friends' babies. Like, it just wasn't me.
No.
But I think I'm really proud of the way that I've been so far. It's just been 3 years, but so far I've been able to parent him the way that in my relationship is formed, which is honest, which is real, which we talk about real feelings, where I'm able to apologize to him and he's able to apologize for the mistakes we make. I think of all things that, I've done in my life, this would be the thing that I'm most proud of. Yeah. Is the way I'm so far been able to parent him, and hopefully will continue on his whole life. Well, my whole life anyway.
I mean, with your comfort of leaning into change, I'm sure you'll be able to go from the toddler years into childhood and the teenage years.
Oh, fun teenage years. So much to look forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, if your toddler is saying he's making executive decisions about his naps, you're already leaving a good legacy for those teenage years.
Yes. Give the truth. I'm going to regret that one in his teenage years.
That was the first thing I thought about when you said leaving legacy with like your kids remembering you. I was like, I made the executive decision. He's hilarious. Yeah, and you've done a good job with him. Is there anything else you would like to add to this one?
I mean, honestly, I think we've said a lot. I think anyone listening, kind of starting their journey off, something's got to give, whatever that is in, whichever area in your life. Like, I think my advice would be, break it up into small bits. Don't be overwhelmed with it. And it's also not about perfection. Like, I mean, you're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to get it wrong some days, but pick up, start again, keep moving. Like, this is not like a sprint. It's a very, very, very long marathon of, and it sometimes changing these thoughts and beliefs we've had since we were kids about more is better, or you got to give your all 100% every day, show up to your workout no matter what, or show up to the various parts of your life no matter what. But having those honest conversations with yourself, setting your boundaries, understanding what your priorities are today, realizing that they will change. You don't have to have just this set forever. It's just for now, and kind of hacking away one day at a time and not getting too overwhelmed with it. In this case, especially in this journey, when you're making these changes, less is more.
Yeah.
Doing them kind of more consistently is better than trying to do 500 things and saying, I'm going to do them all. And then you do them great maybe for a week, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm actually more overwhelmed now. So less is definitely more when it comes to some of these things. But yeah, I think we've kind of covered a lot of things that I've done to help change.
Yeah, I'm hearing you say between the lines that both less is more, but also move forward with kindness, that you don't need to whip yourself into shape. I'm hearing some more like gentle approaches and a little bit of self-compassion and kindness there.
Which has been a huge change for me, so I'm glad that it's coming through. I was definitely the attitude of, go, go, go. Like, that's it. Like, that's how I was brought up. That's what my schooling was. I competed in sports at various higher levels. That was very much the attitude, right? Show up, do it, don't care, keep moving. You're sore, doesn't matter. You're tired, doesn't matter. You're exhausted, doesn't matter. You keep going. But actually, it's not like that. Like, you really do have to be kind to yourself. You do allow yourself to fail, do allow yourself to mess up. And the kindness with which you treat yourself, I think, is really important in making some of these changes, because they're huge changes. They're not going to come overnight. They're not going to come easily. But being kind, remembering why you're doing it every time, is the consequence of not doing it something you're okay with? If it's not, then continue down that path and kind of keep reminding yourself of that. But I genuinely have found that my ability to be kind to myself is also now reflected through the people around me. If you're not able to love yourself or be kind to yourself, I don't think you're going to find that people are kind to you.
No.
So you can kind of do that for yourself before you expect it from other people as well. So it's been a really important part of my journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of you, and I'm really excited to be a little bit on the sideline watching the next steps of this.
Quite a lot on not the sidelines. What is the main line called?
Oh yeah,
no, I mean, it's been a big part of the journey. Kind of like talking through a lot of it and kind of guiding me through it, pushing me when I needed to be pushed, and just kind of letting it be for me to figure some of it out on my own. It's also a really important part, which I think is difficult for a lot of people to do, but knowing where that sort of fine line is, where, okay, I need to push her a little, but actually right now, this one, she needs to come to her own realization, because whatever I say is not going to help.
To get through.
Exactly. So kind of knowing that, I mean, you've been amazing in that. So I'm really, really thankful for that.
I'm happy to be here for assisting on this one, and I'm super proud of your progress.
Thank you very much.
Have a great one, and thank you for taking your time to tell us everything about it.